This week in movies, we are not going to talk about the Oscars. You have just seen them and enjoyed them and know who wins, and we are back in time.
Your little prediction?
No, I was just going to say, I know too. It's Dan.
It's probably not me.
Dan.
So yeah, tune in next week for the results of our wager.
Right.
Yes. The breakfast of champion.
Yeah.
Oh!
You like that? I took off the S.
That's awesome.
Because
That's
it's singular.
But this week, we went and saw Be Kind, Rewind. So Be Kind, Rewind is written and directed by Michel Gondry, who is probably the most awarded television commercial and music video director of our time. And he's done some of the most incredible music videos. You can buy them on DVD, but if you don't know anything about him, just type his name in YouTube and you will see his Kylie Minogue, Daft Punk, White Stripes.
Too.
And the movies he's done Human Nature, which I never got a chance to see.
Oh, I like a lot.
Really?
Yes.
One of my favorite movies of all time, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Mine too.
Right.
Science of Sleep, which I did not like.
I didn't see.
Okay, so here he is with Be Kind, Rewind, starring Jack Black and Mos Def.
And what's that guy?
Danny Glover.
Yeah.
And
Mia Farrow as herself.
A crazy old person.
Lots of children.
It's basically about these two guys who are taking care of a video store. When the tapes accidentally get magnetized and erased, they have to remake the films on the tapes to save the store. That is the plot of the movie. What did you think of the movie, Jeff?
I'm very conflicted about this film. There is a lot of stuff this movie doesn't get right. There's a lot of stuff for me that just didn't work. It has a very odd sensibility about it. It's almost like got cartoon logic. I felt a lot like Kung Fu Hustle to me a little bit, at least the first half hour at least. Or maybe like Nothing But Trouble, that old Dan Aykroyd.
I love that movie, and I'm in a minority.
But you know how that movie, those kind of movies have this weird logic that it's like cartoon logic. It doesn't really make sense. And that really threw me, and I kind of didn't think it worked in a weird way. But what this movie does get right, it gets really, really right. And that is the joy of movie making and really the joy of making anything creative. I think that's what the movie is really about, is what it is to create something. And I love that about it. I loved the part where they remake Ghostbusters alone was worth the price of admission for me. I mean, that's the impetus. Ghostbusters was the impetus for our intros on this show. And it's so cool that that movie was the impetus for their adventure in this film. But ultimately, everything else for me, everything that the story hangs on, the plot basically, didn't work.
Well, I'm going to say that it was funny because I had the same notion when they were in the TV doing the "We're ready to believe you," and I was like, "That's so sweet. That's what we do, sort of." I didn't have as many problems with it, and I think that's because I knew going in that this was not going to be a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but I knew it was going to be a fun film that was worth seeing, and that's sort of what I walked out thinking. That was really fun. Like it just is fun. It's sort of like I could see myself doing, I could see myself walking out of this movie as a kid and trying to do what they did. You know what I mean? Like it just was sort of like, it just was like a nice, sweet film. There's nothing great about the film. I thought the acting was good. I love Mos Def. I think Mos Def is
He's great.
Amazing.
He's gonna be a big someday.
Amazing. Did you see Something the Lord Made on HBO?
No, I never saw that.
I've seen a lot of things.
Do that again. If you see that, and it will even take you to another place with Mos Def. It's genius. But yeah. So I mean, overall, it was like. It was really enjoyable. I would say if you like filming, and I think you're totally right, it brings the joy of creating. It sort of makes me really appreciate the fact that every week we get to do that. You know what I mean? And so it was like, God, yeah, that is really, really fun. Like, that's just fun to do. And also it's about sort of the hope that anything creative brings to, not now. It's sort of like the hope that anything creative brings to everyone around you, that anybody can experience that sort of joy of seeing something that people put together for the pure sake of having fun. So.
I kind of agree with both you guys. I think you articulated what I thought of it much better than I probably will. But as I watching this movie, I like hated some parts of it, and then other parts were genius. I literally was like this roller coaster ride of like, this is terrible, and then that is amazing, and then. But ultimately, the idea that the themes of the movie about belief and about making lemons out of lemonade and all that stuff.
All the way around. Okay. Stop that. Reverse it.
I think that right. I think that notion could have been articulated so much better. But I love the handmade feel of so much, which is what he grew up with magic tricks, and he's a master of in-camera effects and all of his things. And this was a movie about that, about the way he thinks in so many ways. But all of the gags in the movie he has done before in such a better way that I implore people to go check out his earlier work.
You mean like the camouflage thing or whatever? There's a.
He's done things like that, but also like the Men in Black gag with the upside down, and there's that one shot. He's done that one shot
where it's a time shot.
That was
I love
he did
that
the Lucas.
shot.
Have you guys seen
great.
Lucas with the lid off? I feel.
You're not speaking?
No.
Lucas with the lid off
You're
video.
actually doing.
It's black and white. Look it up.
Unwords.
I'll show
I
you
was
guys.
trying to come up with a phrase that describes that, because it's sort of the steampunk aesthetic. If instead of clockwork mechanics technology, it's like garbage dump.
Handmade?
No, the technology in this movie that they use to make everything, it's like garbage punk almost. It's like anything you could find at a dump you would make.
Junk
but
punk,
you know what?
junk punk,
That
junk
was
punk.
junk punk. Much better.
Dude, done.
That's why you're the creative one.
Yeah, that's what I do. I just make words up all day.
Yeah. That kind of brings to a point, something that I was disappointed in with the movie, is that it was all about the mechanics of how they pulled it off, and there was no magic in why these people, the townspeople, were so enthralled with seeing it. There was no magic about the people. It was all about it was very about the method in which they used it.
Well, but it was also about those guys, you know what I mean? And sort of the reflection of them on the people. You know what I mean? Like, it would be a different movie if it was about the people. It was about these two guys trying to, you know, sort of figure out what they're supposed to do in life.
But did you ever get a sense of why the people liked watching these movies? I never did.
I did. The same reason I would want to watch those things, because it's like, these guys are idiots, and this is exactly what I would do if somebody said, remake Ghostbusters right now, and in 2 hours, no cuts. I'd be like, all right, I guess I mean, they did stuff that I wouldn't even think to do. You know what I mean? Like the cat jumping out and then shooting it with the Christmas things. It's genius.
It was interesting how this movie very much reminded me of, you guys are like, what? Hustle and Flow. Which I know is a movie that you hate.
It's one of my least favorite movies.
I never saw it.
I love Hustle and Flow, but they're both movies.
It's a very polarizing movie.
It's like a small victory that they made. It's like a small story. He's a despicable person, Hustle and Flow, and these guys kind of are idiots in many ways, and they don't figure it out.
Yeah.
But they have a small, tiny little thing, and in Hustle and Flow, it's a small, tiny little thing, and that small thing that gives us hope that we could conquer bigger things.
Okay.
But
anyway, $4.
News this week. There was news that The Boys has been optioned to be made into a movie, but
anytime that happens to a comic nowadays, doesn't surprise me one bit.
It doesn't mean the movie's going to be made either.
I know,
right?
Because comics are the new, like, I don't know, all the '80s TV shows are the new comics of 2 years ago or whatever.
Everything is everything. But
everything is everything, Dan.
When there's a director attached to that, maybe we'll have more to say about it. But there was also news about The Black Hole, the comic book that we've read. David Fincher is now directing it.
Unbelievable.
Hang on, before we talk about that, let me throw out another thing, and so we can talk about both. There's also. This director was attached to Akira, the live-action movie, for a while, but now they announced that studios, Leonardo DiCaprio's company is now producing, so it's becoming much more of a reality. But the director is this guy, Roy Robinson, who's a visual effects guy. He made an awesome animated short and a live-action short that I was not that into.
Well, he's got to be a visual effects guy if it's going to be Akira, the live-action version.
I think it'd be cool for us. We've never talked about anime on this show.
And a lot of people want us to.
Right.
A lot of people have requested that.
Well, we as kids sort of grew up with what could be considered anime.
Robotech.
Robotech, RoboCop, all anime. Voltron was anime. You know what I mean? So I always hate saying like, oh yeah, I'm not really into anime or whatever, because it's actually not true. I loved Robotech. Are you kidding me? Loved me some Voltron.
Did you watch Macross?
Macross,
I used to
yes.
watch Macross.
I did not watch Macross.
I liked
don't
Macross
think.
quite a bit.
What was it about?
It was like
Robotech,
It was an era
basically.
of Robotech.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's gonna be people who are
oh.
gonna write in and tell us how wrong we are
tell us
about
how
things.
wrong.
I don't.
Yeah.
I was so young when I used to watch that, but I just want to say that
I do enjoy that style of talking.
Yeah, Akira was the thing that it was my first anime. Basically,
Right.
it was my evolution.
a lot of people's.
I would assume everyone of my generation, you might agree with this, but it was Akira, and then Ninja Scroll, and then Guyver. Those were like the three things that I was like, anime. It was like, what is this crazy? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I will say, I kind of wish David Fincher wasn't attached to the black hole.